Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this video. All right, so we're doing this video on rotors, and we're replacing rotors on an '06 Honda Civic. If you guys have done this before, you guys know like the worst part about this is probably the screws that are on the rotors, because the other stuff is pretty easy. Now, I don't like the fact that it's not just Honda that does it, but the screws on the caliper have spinning spinning bolts on the other end. So if you have an '06, there's a good chance that you have a lot of rust on the caliper, the bolts, etc., etc. And a lot of times, if you're getting those bolts off or even screwing them back on, you're going to have this issue where the other side just spins, and you won't have a long, sometimes you won't have a long nose plier to actually just pop it in there, or a vice grip to pop it in there, because there's a slim little space for you to pop a long nose plier in there just to stop it from spinning, so you can screw it off or screw it on. Most of the time, screwing it on is the worst part, particularly if it's rusty. Now, what you guys could do is you guys could put some WD-40 on it and then screw it back on. It might be easier, or you might just want to stick a screwdriver in between that portion and the open part of the caliper. I don't know if I have this on video, but if you guys have done this before, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you guys are doing it, you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. That's normally the worst part of it, taking the caliper off after the screws, after the bolts are taken off on the other end. It's not difficult, all right? And then taking the brakes off, that's not difficult either. And then taking the bracket off, the bracket off, it's not difficult at all. Two bolts on the other side, take it off. By the way, here's a tip for you guys. If you guys have issues with stuck bolts on these on the caliper brackets, what you guys want to do is you want to turn the wheel to whatever side it is that you're working on, so you could get a direct sitting of the socket, so you guys could actually take it off and put it on. By the way, safety is very, very important. You do not ever, you want to put a tire under the car, a couple of wood blocks, just to make sure that everything is good. Just the jack and a jack stand, sometimes that's not good enough. Jack and jack stand is good. Just the jack alone, not good enough. Anyway, let's move on to the screws on the rotor. Now, a lot of times you're not going to be able to use just a normal Phillips to take the bolts off. They're kind of a larger Phillips bolts, but what you want to do is you're going to go to Harbor Freight, and I forget what this special screwdriver is called right offhand, but there's a section for it at Harbor Freight, and essentially you want to take that screwdriver and you want to hammer it in. When you hammer it in, it turns to one side or the other side. A lot of times they'll take the screws off. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes you want to spray it. Sometimes you want to knock it many times before you can take it off. You're gonna want that because if you're doing rotors, I'm pretty sure you're not just gonna do one rotor. You're gonna do 2 rotors, 3 rotors, 4 rotors. Now, if you guys have problem taking the screws off, or they get ground out, or they get dough, you guys might want to just drill it. And drilling is not really the easiest thing to do on this. Maybe 1 or 2 screws might be okay, but when you're doing like 4, 6, 8, you're gonna ruin drill bits. There's a good chance you're gonna ruin drill bits, and you're not gonna have drill bits do this job. And the one most frustrating thing about this job is just to get those stupid bolts off. All right. And after you get off, you're thinking, how do you get the screws back on? If you have screws are destroyed from this process, you don't have to put the screws back on. The screws don't need to be on there to begin with. I've seen situations where there's one screw left, and somebody who's doing this job decides to put that one screw back on. It just makes it uneven. Just leave the screws out. You don't need to put the screws back in. The screws didn't really need to be on the caliper anyway. There are many vehicles that don't have anything holding the rotor in place. What holds the rotor in place are the brake pads, and that's good enough. That's good enough. Certain manufacturers want to put screws in. I don't know if Honda does that anymore. I don't think Honda does that anymore. Maybe that's an old tech thing, like shoe brakes. I don't know what it is. If you guys know, drop a comment in the comment section. If you guys have done Honda brakes, Honda rotors recently, whether they still use the screw or not. That's the one thing that kills people. That's the one thing that kills people. It's just the most frustrating thing doing this job, because all the other stuff is it's pretty easy. Getting the screws off could possibly be one of the most aggravating, frustrating things of taking the rotors off, and it should be an easy 1, 2, 3 job. In any case, hope you guys like this video. If you guys like it, leave a comment in the comment section. Please subscribe, please give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. Appreciate your time, guys. Take care.